RNG tables are often overlooked or underused. They add so much to the game, and I know that people don't often use them because they give this feeling of a grind, a distraction from the plot, something that just gets in the way, slows us down, and worst of all, Mount Celestia forbid, if they repeat. But what if this wasn't a downside? What if we've just been looking at them wrong? What if we can take that negativity and flip it upside down into a positive? Something your party will love and enjoy and look back upon. So how did I turn encounter tables from a grind to a happy little accident? Before we begin, I have to shout out that the reason I preach for random encounter tables is because they will make things that you never imagined happening to happen. They will push you to get better at improv, and they will put you on the spot. And while you're under that pressure, that beautiful panic, that desperate moment of grabbing at anything your mind can muster, you will make some of the most rememberable things happen in your campaign. Things your players will be talking about time and time again. Okay, now we have to talk about presentation of a scene or an encounter before we even begin. The way you display information to the party. Now, I think a lot of us, when we start, just kind of name how many enemies and what they are. This is totally valid, especially when you're new to the game and everything is a bit of information overload. Because there's just a lot to run in a TTRPG game, and it can be a bit overwhelming. So if you're still in that stage, put this in your back pocket and hold on to it for a bit later. But I recommend trying to set out a scene. Much like playing out a movie, you aren't just dropped immediately into a fight. Instead of saying 4 direwolves appear, roll initiative, set the scene, paint a picture, give time for a response. You hear a cracking sound from the bush, a twig snapping. Looking towards the bush, you see gray fur peeking through the leaves, moving ever so closer towards you. What do? Don't start combat right away. Let the players react. Give them time to roleplay and think about what their characters might do in this situation. Encourage ideas and solutions that aren't always combat. Give hints towards there being other ways to deal with things. Hinting towards solutions that think outside of the box if your group would like them, but has never tried them. And if your group does this, encourage them. Let them weasel their way out. Let them flex those brain muscles and show off how creative they can be. Now, this is good and all, and I totally recommend doing this in dungeons too, but it doesn't really make them less of a grind on its own. Fix that, we actually need to deep dive into a short encounter list. I know, the bane of all encounter lists for most players. The reason they hate them, the grind of killing the same enemy over and over again. But they're actually my secret weapon. I love when I get the same encounter multiple times. When the same things appear repeatedly and you're using scene setting. You improv, create a plot and story right in the moment. And this story is 100% driven by your players' action. Their choices influence everything in this story you improv, in a very free-flowing way. Those roles from earlier, did your party befriend them? Did they kill them? Did one get away? If they killed them, can you turn this encounter into a couple more wolves and the wolf's owner? Or maybe running into the wolf's puppies? These examples are rather limited, I know, and I realize that. And that's where my next tip comes from. Don't make your encounter list all beasts. Make it full of humanoids your players can connect to as well. This is especially great for role players or people who like gacha games. Collecting new NPCs they befriend. Introducing more opportunities for creative solutions, scene settings, and repeating stories. My group once met 3 orcs that came through a portal without even realizing it. They were fighting over gossip about stealing from a chieftain's wife, and if she deserved for it to be stolen from. My party killed 2 of the orcs as they became hostile, assuming the party had kidnapped them since they were so preoccupied with their amount of arguing that they never saw the portal. The final orc they tied up and friended to not attack people. They explained the situation to the orc, and I frantically called him Tav, which was a great lesson for me because I really needed to learn that I need a list of names on hand, always. Like, my boyfriend literally spit-taked when he heard me name him Tav. He knew in that moment that I just made him up on the spot because we were playing Baldur's Gate earlier. Later in that campaign, still in the same day, my players were keeping night watch in the camp. They rolled the same encounter, so now I could grab 3 new orcs. Or you hear a bush rustle. Something large and cumbersome is coming towards the camp, crashing through branches and leaves. The party quickly woke each other up as they groggily started to put on their armor with haste. A familiar figure steps out of the bush. "Hi guys, I lost you earlier, but I managed to find you. Your footprints were really hard to track in the dark." I shoved Tav right back in there, right back in that encounter, and from that point forward, based on what happened, I would continually purposely shove Tav into future encounters. He would appear already having looted the place and delivering them goods. He was attacked by bears when my party forgot him and left him outside for the night. And he even found them a bag of holding he stole off some travelers they saw passing by them. But part of the reason I could seamlessly put Tav intentionally in more encounters is because I have 2 tables I roll on. I don't just roll combat encounters. The majority of my encounters are actually not combat focused. I like to try out different things on the encounter list. Things like places if they're in the wilds or an abandoned camp. These are perfect additions to shove some of the main plot into a random encounter, or a character like Tav to reappear. Or maybe a not-so-abandoned camp, which are great especially to show the party they are getting close to their desired location. You might have a camp of goblins before the main goblin-infested castle they're heading to, or a merchant like Elden Ring so they can restock out on the road. Or how about Ancient Ruins, the perfect small optional dungeon for players that love dungeon diving, having a couple maps on hand and just rotating stock of enemies, which is great if you also just need to shove something in to fill a bit of time. Or maybe your players like to roleplay among each other, and a beautiful scene might suit them well. Or if your players have pets, ask them to set a scene, something that helps their pets bond to them more. Or on the line of asking your players to set the scene, ask them to set a scene of a place that reminds them of something from their past. Let the players experience a moment together, one that enlightens them on who their party members are. But places are far from everything you can put on the encounter list. An NPC encounter, a merchant sale, a omen, or a piece of loot, or something that inspires the characters. Over on my Patreon is a list of what I'm currently using in my Fire and Earth Plane campaign for my city-based RNG tables, including an entire list of NPCs that are contained in the table, including the Strang of Krista. She's a Dampier that came from the Shadow Plane, and she kind of thinks all of this Fire and Earth Plane problems are a little silly and nonsensical. She often tends to laugh at other people's problems, but she's still a great member of the rivaling adventuring party in my campaign. The table and her are just one of many things on my Patreon, along with extra species because I love non-human species, NPCs, characters, arts, tokens, and whatever else my little goblin D&D obsessed brain makes for DMs to make the elemental planes a little more full of content. Link in description. Have a think about what your RNG table's for. One for a desert, a tundra, and a forest, or a city might be really different. Weather can also factor into these tables. Keep in mind to keep it related to what your players enjoy. A successful RNG table is going to look different for different groups, and different is okay. Specialize things for your players, and for you. Find what works best for you and roll with it, because only your table's enjoyment matters. And if I haven't sold you yet on random tables, keep in mind that they also reduce workload. The same 2 tables can be reused for many, many sessions. And since it's listening, reaction, and improv based, you don't need the preset scene. So take it easy, work smarter, not harder, and have some lighthearted moment. And yeah, this works. My players, when we moved from our last campaign to our current one, literally asked if Tav could come along. They connected more with Tav than any pre-written NPC in the Lost Mines have found ever. I'd love to hear about when something unexpected happened in your games, and I hope you have a great day.